Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I do have a question for you. You told us that the Quran has has solutions for the current problems we are facing as youth, as people in the world at the moment. So my question is, as youths currently, most of us are facing a lot of mental health issues. You're constantly in a battle within yourself, in your mind, and you feel like you do not have solutions to those problems, whether it's therapy and all these other things. So now my question is, how can the Quran help us in navigating that issue? And can you kindly advise me on some of the verses I could read from the Quran to help me with, everything?
The sister has asked a very important question. The sister has rightly said, in today's world, there are many people who have anguish, who have mental problems, who have difficulty thinking. So how can the Quran help them? And that's what I said in my talk, that the Quran is a solution to the problems of humanity. And especially, I told and I requested towards the end of my talk that you should read the Quran, the translation, in the language you understand the best. Because, my father was a psychiatrist, I'm a medical doctor, a general physician, but my father was a psychiatrist, may Allah grant him Jannah. And he used to tell me also that if you read many a times, you yourself may not know what is troubling in your mind. And when you read the Quran is a unique book. When you read the Quran, you find that many of the things you are thinking, the reply is given in the Quran. And to read the full Quran will not take very long. Depending, if you want to read one chapter a day, it will take you 30 days. If you want to read 2 chapters a day, it will take you 15 days. If you read 3 chapters a day, it will take you 10 days. So sister, my request to you would be that if you read the translation of the Quran slowly with understanding, because the Quran is unique.
Yes.
Depending upon what your problem is. As the Quran says, that verily your hearts will find serenity. And the Quran, it has many solutions, which normally, if you read a Quran and I read, both may look at it at a different angle. The beauty of the Quran is that the same verse, if a layman reads it, he thinks a different way. If an intellectual reads it, he thinks in a different way. A scientist reads it, he thinks in a different way. That they read in the tafsir of the Quran, one verse can have 20 meanings. And when a person who has problem, he thinks in his way. So when you read the Quran, but naturally if you go to a person who's specialized, and if you discuss with the person what is the problem, he may be able to guide you. Just generally if you ask me which verse to read, I say all the verses are good, mashallah. But if you have a specific problem, like if you have a problem of alcoholism, the verse is Surah Ma'idah chapter 5 verse 90. If you have a problem of economics, then it is Surah Tawbah, it is Surah Baqarah chapter 2 verse 179. So I gave a few examples in my talk.
Okay.
About poverty, about racism, about alcoholism, there's gambling. I can go on and on. So depending, and it's not good to talk about your problem in public generally, sister. You understand, no?
Yeah.
So what I would advise you, that generally, if you read the translation of the Quran, maybe 2 juz a day, it may take an hour for you, or half an hour, maybe 1 juz a day.
Yeah.
With understanding, surely. There are high chances the solution you'll find. If you don't find, you can surely ask with some of the Islamic Dawah centers, the people who are more well versed, depending upon what the problem is. And they will be able, those people who are well versed with the Quran, surely they will be able to guide you. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may your mental anguish be completely dissolved, will completely go away. But even by listening to the recitation of the Quran, There are many non-Muslims who I know that when you hear the recitation of the Quran, And I ended my talk, sister, with the verse of the Quran of Surah Isra, chapter 17, verse number 81, which says, وَقُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقُّ وَذَاقَ الْبَاطِلُ. When truth is hurled against falsehood, falsehood perishes. And for falsehood is by its nature bound to perish. And it continues that the Quran has been sent down as a mercy to the believers. That means only by hearing the Quran, many a times you get serenity. When I meet people who accepted Islam, they said, why you accept Islam? I like the Azan. Did you understand this? I say, no. It is unique. So everyone has its own reason for liking it. And when you read the translation, each verse has a different dimension. That is the beauty of the Quran. So my request to you would be the same, which I said in the end of my talk, that you owe it to yourself. You may have read many books in your life to get a degree, to get a bachelor's degree, or educate yourself. Why don't you read one more book? One book. It is a book from a creator. Read it in the language you understand the best, and inshallah, it will solve most of your problems. Hope that's
Thank you, sir.